All right, Phil, first of all, I want to talk about the methodology of this study because there have been other studies about hydroxychloroquine that have either been too small, they've been empirical with no control group, they've been flawed and then retracted. This one was conducted by the Henry Ford Health System. What can you tell us about it?
Well, this was an observational study, so it wasn't a randomized controlled trial. It was an observational study, but they had about 2,000 patients, and they watched them. That's what observational means, and they compared the ones who were getting hydroxychloroquine either with or without azithromycin to the patients who were not. And then they compiled all the statistics, did the regression analysis, and published the results, which have now been published in a peer-reviewed journal. This is not a preprint. And so it's not the gold standard. It's not a randomized controlled trial, but it's a pretty high-quality study, I would say. Significantly better than, for instance, the one that looked at Veterans Affairs records and had a lot of problems. We now have a mix, Liz. We've got a mix. We've got some studies that show that there is a therapeutic benefit, a very considerable one, and we've got some studies that show there's not. And the interesting thing is there does seem to be a pretty clear pattern emerging, which is it seems to work if you take it early. And that was in the Henry Ford, the new study that came out. They gave it to almost everyone in the study within 48 hours. I think it was 60-some percent within 24 and 90% or so within 48. So they gave it very early upon hospitalization. That made it distinct from the New York study where they gave it very late to patients who were in very bad condition, who were already on ventilators and things like that. So it seems that there is a pretty clear benefit to it if you get it early enough. If it's too late, if you already have a lot of virus, then preventing the replication of the virus at that point doesn't seem to help, and there doesn't seem to be much, if any, benefit. The other thing about this study that was really interesting that the authors pointed out is most of the patients who were getting hydroxychloroquine were also getting a steroid, either prednisone or methylprednisolone. And we've got so many studies now showing that steroids work. We had a big one from the UK showing that steroid called dexamethasone is very effective. We've got several now for methylprednisolone, including one from Spain and a couple now in the US. And I'm just really struck to the point that you made about them avoiding hydroxychloroquine because of Trump. How many doctors avoided steroids because the World Health Organization said not to use them? And we now see that steroids are very effective for COVID-19. You kind of have to wonder the same question about whether sort of the politics of WHO or whatever they were thinking interfered with doctors doing what they ordinarily would have done, which is give steroids to patients who have a viral pneumonia.